It's a sensitive, delicate deal, dragging brand new songs out of the sky. Trading ideas, accepting some, storing others in the maybe later bag, moving on and along with hardly a plan. During the Zepp years, I never imagined a full-scale album project without the other guys, and even less the idea of new writing partners. But then, since 1981, I've enjoyed many amazing, exciting musicians in the sharing, in the writing, in production and engineering. Men and women who encouraged and enlightened, introducing me to crazy curves I could never have imagined. For this podcast, I'm going to be picking out some songs from here and there along the way, mixing constant shifts in sound and intention from across this long old time. There's a story in all of them. I'm Robert Plant, and this is Digging Deep.
Hello and welcome back to Digging Deep with Robert Plant, and this is Season 5. My name is Matt Everett, and I'm very pleased to be back here with another series in which Robert Plant will revisit his own remarkable back catalogue to investigate and evaluate and celebrate some of his songs. As you'll know if you've been listening to the previous seasons, we span the whole of Robert's career so far, touching down at different points from way back when to right now. So cover versions, album tracks, lost gems, much loved classics, and even music from Raise the Roof, the latest album by Robert and Alison Krauss. And in the last season, we spoke about getting Alison on as a guest on this show, so we might even try and make that happen. We're going to cover a lot of ground in this season, but as always, expect us to take the road less travelled when it comes to how the conversation unfolds. As in real life, it's an unexpected journey. And we start, maybe unexpectedly, with a song from Led Zeppelin, from their third album, Led Zeppelin III, released in 1970. The song was written in a remote cottage in Gwynedd, in Wales, and the cottage gave the song its title. But before we get to that, me and Robert have some catching up to do. It's been a while, after all. It's nice to see you again.
And you too, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. It's like sort of everything and nothing. Time has sort of stood still and also stretched out in weird directions.
Yeah, it regained its focus 2 or 3 times last year when I went, I know what I'm duty bound to do. I'm going to go out into the world and enjoy myself and sing and play. And then the brakes kept coming on and the wheels kept dropping off. And I was very fortunate because I'm normally in a very rural environment. So my being sort of, if you like, not trapped, but confined, was really, I was only confined to forests and streams, which is like where I came from. Ha ha.
And your current state of mind, how would you describe your state right now?
It's somewhere between a foxtrot and a stroll, really. I'm doing fine. I'm comfortable, and I've got a gig or two. I mean, a couple of different projects that I really enjoy. And it's all good, yeah. Really good.
Have you enjoyed kind of, because the you know, as you say, there's a touring band and there's the big release with Alison, which we're going to be talking about a lot in this series, I'm sure. But have you enjoyed going from like everything being, you know, as you say, rural and calm and within your world, to all of a sudden it's like, and everyone's looking at you and asking you questions again? How's that been?
Well, you know, you only really come to start to find out who you are when all the sort of glitter and glitz of the last 50 years falls off you. It's, you know, like, I feel like one of those Austin Princess cars where they had a rag top and too much sun and it all sort of curls back and you can see the sad metal underneath it. And I felt like that quite a lot. Like, that, what else am I apart from this machine that has to go out and sing? And I think I've always used singing and writing and that sort of thing as it's been the life raft for having somebody else behind it who's totally different. And I find a lot of entertainers that I talk to, we're all the same, really. We've got a lot of bluster and a lot of creative wah, but so I did find it 2 or 3 times the sort of much more, I don't know, I was able to see myself from a different angle, which was good for me, and I liked it.
Was it quite nice being able to wear a mask? I spoke to a couple of musicians about this, and they were like, actually, it's been quite nice. Now, of course, the masks have dropped in most places, but like, I could just have a wander about and no one knew who I was. Has that been quite pleasant?
Well, I think I've always got a mask on, but then sometimes I bought them from the chemist. I don't know. But, I've been around a long time. I certainly look different to how I was when I put my first record out when I was 17. And I've been through the mullet era and all that sort of thing and got away with it really in Led Zeppelin for a long time. I just looked like somebody else who was going to an all-nighter or whatever it was. But now, in these late salad days, I don't know. A lot of people recognize me on the street and say, "Hey, Mario Lanza," which is great for me because I'm not an Italian, Hollywood opera singer. But I brought Mario Lanza to the general public on that Desert Island Discs thing. So now people don't say "Hi, Robert" anymore. It's just that exclamation of Mario Lanza. I wish I was his agent. Anyway, here we are. We're cooking on gas. It's a beautiful spring morning, and so despite everything, we press on.
What's the first song that we're choosing for this series?
Well, there are lots and lots and lots of songs, and there's lots of different themes I could go down. But I thought cheer and exuberance and a reflection of some really incredibly creative days on the side of a hill in South Snowdonia in Merioneth would bring us to Bron-Yr-Aur Stomp, which Jimmy and I wrote together, actually at the cottage called Bron-Yr-Aur near Machynlleth in Wales. It was all about everything that was a joy, from the performance, from the sort of throwaway elements of it. It's strange because all these programs or these conversations that we have, it's all about retrospective overview. And of course, at the time of conception and development, it was nothing like that. It was just, wow, is this Lonnie Donegan meets Roy Harper meets the Incredible String Band? And all this whole content of a song about a dog, But it was the times that we spent up there on the side of the hill and the optimism and the adventure of finding so many different streams of creativity, little, it's like pulling back the reeds on a beautiful freshwater stream and you see stuff coming from everywhere. And that period of Led Zeppelin III was really more than I think any of us, the four of us, could have imagined because stuff just rolled out. It was a hugely creative and celebratory time.
Like a lot of the Zepp stuff, there's a mythology around every single bit of everything. There does seem to be. So I wanted to know when you were kind of there at this cottage, because the image would be, this bucolic, beautiful, sort of slightly mystical, calming place after all the roll and tumble of the previous years. But was the reality a little bit more like there's no electricity, we're freezing? This is not. I just wondered the myth and the reality, what it was like.
Oh no,
there.
because I was tuned into that as anyway. Yeah. There's no electricity. In fact, quite a few of my friends were already living on various mountaintops exposed to the east wind because they just forgot it's better to get the other side of the hill. So you don't, So it was fine. It was really good. It was a beautiful place, and all those things were part of the bargain, and they remain so too. You're there for a reason, and you're just in it. So all that actually adds to it. The idea of going outside and bringing in kindling, all that stuff is part of the whole deal, and remains so in my time now.
Yeah.
In fact, the old guy with the sticks on his back on Zeppelin IV, pinned to the window of some place in around the back of Smethwick in Birmingham. I'm now that guy. I mean, I pick up kindling everywhere I go and wrap it round with a piece of baling twine and shunt it on my back just in case anybody's driving by. And they go, there's that bloke off Led Zeppelin IV album cover.
Said when talking about those sessions, that's when you and Jimmy really got to know each other, which was like, it's a lovely thing to say. Then you're like, wow, it took you 3 albums to do that.
Yeah,
but that was
it hasn't finished yet. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, that's things evolve. I think that's quite a nice thing to say. Like,
yeah, well, if you think about it, really from the get-go, from the very recording of the Zeppelin one, which was like 36 hours of work. And then starting off touring, I think that year, 1969, I think we did 6 tours of America or something like that. Nobody knew what was going on because there was a momentum that was just, we were on fire. We were rolling out there, playing with, the James Gang and Country Joe and the Aeroplane. It was just, if it all ended at the end of 1970, it would have been the most amazing trip. And so we just got on it. So by the time we got to Bron-Yr-Aur, it was the only time that we actually did, use an outdoor toilet together, separately, individually.
Not together.
No. And all that stuff. So it was like we finally got time to breathe and probably to discuss stuff and to write notes about things and all that. Zeppelin II was created on the road and was magnificent in it. For it was brilliant, but that beginning of the third album was a perspective change. Marcus Mumford, I spoke to him about 5 years ago talking about something. I said, how are you getting on? He said, we're in the middle of the difficult third album. That most bands capsize at that point. What are you going to do? Ironically, it was slated by everybody. It's been like we'd turned into chirpy, cheap sort of brotherhood of man, something like that. But it was what it was, and that was it.
Another myth. It was directly inspired by Bert Jansch. Is that right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was just of the time. Yeah, there are so many great players at that time playing, but it was pretty throwaway as well. You know, yeah. I mean, the way the whole thing is not. It's not a sort of exercise in being right on the top of the playing. It's just a matter of celebration.
That was Bron-Yr-Aur Stomp by Led Zeppelin, the first of Robert's choices for this new season of Digging Deep. We hope you enjoyed it. I should mention, if you're listening to this episode in 2022, don't forget you can see Robert and Alison Krauss live, touring extensively throughout the UK, US and Europe from June through to September. Visit robertplant.com and click Tours and Tickets to see all the dates for the shows and festivals. And that is the end of this week's episode. It feels so good to be back, and we shall return with a new episode very soon, so be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And don't forget you can hear previous Digging Deep episodes on your podcast provider as well. I've been Matt Everett. Thanks for listening. This has been a Cup and Nuzzle production. Alexa, play Bron-Yr-Aur Stomp by Led Zeppelin.